All right, amplified screens. When we look at screening as a process, we're really worried about two main things. One, we want to make sure that the redundancy between each screener, think about it, there might be 3 or 4 interviews that you do for a typical candidate for either perm or contract, and you don't want to have to constantly be covering the same ground because one, it frustrates the candidate, and two, it's wasting your time in the interview because if one person's covering the same topics that somebody else already probed, they could be going deeper on that area, they could be going to a different area because everybody only has a certain amount of time they can allocate to a screen, right? So redundancy is a key thing that we're going to show you how we think we do it way better than any other vendors you probably work with today. But also, we're worried secondly about the time it takes from start to finish, all the screens, not just one, but if you have to do 4 screens to get a candidate fully qualified, we worry about the timing it takes to do that. And we have a specific, our approach we believe enables clients that want to embrace it, a way to shorten that screening process by a third or a fourth, depending on how many steps they have, to where it's that much quicker from where they actually find a candidate to where they can be deciding on getting out of that or making an offer. Right? And then you have less risk if you're a shorter time frame of a competitor swooping in and giving a competitive offer to the same candidate, which we don't want to see, right? Neither one of us. So how do we do it, right? It's really pretty simple. I guess we're going in twos today. It's based on 2 things. One, we try to, by default, always have a delivery-based resource doing the interviewing and filling out the notes that you'll see here in a second. And that is so that when the questions are being asked and the candidate responds, we feel like the response is one level of screening, but then the follow-up questions around it, understanding what the candidate is saying and where there's gaps in that conversation and ability to go deeper, really requires to have the delivery background. It's hard to go much deeper than the question if you haven't been in the space for a long time. Sometimes if you haven't been in delivery but doing the questions for a long time, you can do that. But at the end of the day, we really want to be able to go a lot further than just the initial question. We want to do follow-up questions, so that implies delivery. Secondly, we use a tool called LiveScribe. You can buy it at any local retailer. We've been using it since 2008 when it first came out in beta. And what it allows us to do is capture as we write notes, as we're talking to a candidate, capture the audio that's actually happening while we're writing those notes. And the power of that is that we can then send that scribbled set of notes, you see it here, those green text and the grayed out text, that scribbled set of notes can be sent to any of our clients for any interview, the page of notes that we had, and they can click on that grayed out note area, like you see in this document, and it'll actually skip to that part of the conversation. So what we do is we basically box in the topics or the questions that we're going to be asking, and so they can basically zoom in to different aspects of the conversation and very quickly move in and out of a 15-minute conversation and hear what they need to hear and eliminate the redundancy. Let me show it to you real quick so you kind of get a sense for how it works. Here we have, I think I'm going to ask him about his database work, so you can kind of...
The layers, let's go back to that briefly. Did you have to build out like physical and logical data models at any time? Were you in the database type structuring aspect, or did somebody else do that?
I was responsible for.
So, I mean, so we'll send that to a client, and they can click around anywhere in the document they want, and kind of at their leisure, both in terms of their own timing and also diving in and repeating parts they want to hear over and over, get a sense for how the candidate's communicating, how they're responding in detail, the example depth they're giving, all kinds of transparent sharing between us and our clients. And that's the kind of stuff that you could have if you come work with us. And so, when you look at those 2 pieces, the LiveScribe and interviewing done by a delivery guy, you could actually have your own question sets given to them and saying, hey, you know what, if I was going to do the interview, here would be the 6 questions I would ask and I would drill through. Do those, box them in, and send them back to me. I want to hear you asking the questions I would ask, and voila, you're basically sidestepping one of your interview steps if you really trust over time, build a level of trust with us, that those interview conversations are enabling you to move to a value-added, let's go right to the final, let's go final right to the on-site, okay? So if that seems of interest to you, definitely reach out to us. We do this all the time for a lot of clients. We can get you some references if you want to hear about others' experiences with it. But either way, we think it's pretty great, and we hope it helps you out. Talk to you guys later.